In the city of Harlem, 1926 hums like a restless trumpet. Music spills from open windows, and the streets pulse with stories. A woman named Violet walks through that music with a knife hidden in her purse. She is on her way to a funeral, the funeral of a girl her husband loved. Violet's name sounds gentle, but she carries storms inside. The girl in the coffin is Dorcas, young and full of the jazz she danced to. They were dancing, and she laughed, and he shot her. That he is Joe Trace, Violet's husband, 50 years old, still chasing something that sounds like youth. Joe sells beauty products door to door, but what he really sells is the illusion of tenderness. When he met Dorcas, she reminded him of a dream he'd lost in Virginia. The narrator tells their story like a jazz solo, looping, revising, riffing. I'm crazy about this city. The city itself becomes a character, moody, alive, whispering into every apartment. Joe's affair with Dorcas begins with laughter and perfume. They meet in secret rooms, behind curtains drawn against gossip and guilt. Dorcas wants excitement more than love. Joe wants a chance to start again. Violet begins to sense the shift in the air between them. Her birds die mysteriously, or maybe she forgets to feed them. The winter feels colder. When Dorcas leaves Joe for a younger man, his heart cracks open. He followed her into the music, then pulled the trigger. The bullet catches her during a rent party, the saxophone still playing. Dorcas refuses to call his name as she bleeds out. She dies quietly, choosing silence over him. Violet hears the gossip in the barber shops and on the street corners. She goes to the funeral with a blade. It was Violet who tried to cut the dead girl's face. People start calling her violent. After that, she keeps a photograph of Dorcas on the dresser, as if watching for ghosts. Sometimes she talks to the picture, asking why. Sometimes she throws it across the room. Harlem watches her, the hairdresser with the knife, the woman gone strange. But Violet is also searching for herself inside that madness. Joe tries to atone, but redemption doesn't come easy. He dreams of Dorcas's laughter, of her silk dress, of her saying, "I don't love you no more." The city forgives no one and forgets nothing. There's a rhythm to the way people live, love, and lie. Felice, Dorcas's best friend, becomes the quiet hinge between the living and the dead. She visits Violet and Joe one day. She wants to understand the story that ended Dorcas's life. Violet listens, tender and brittle. Joe sits with his head bowed, waiting for judgment. Felice learns that Dorcas wanted to be seen, not possessed. She tells Violet that Dorcas didn't cry out. Violet wonders what kind of love lets a girl die so silently. Harlem hums again, the music like memory, always circling back. The narrator's voice swells, sometimes unsure, sometimes intimate. I thought I knew her. I thought I knew them all. The voice admits mistakes, revises truths. Like jazz, the story bends, improvises, finds new tones in old pain. Joe and Violet start to mend, not through forgiveness, but through rhythm. They learn to breathe in time with the city again. Violet takes back her mirrors and her name. She opens her windows and lets the light touch her face. Joe learns to sleep without the ghost of Dorcas calling him. Harlem keeps moving, full of brass and smoke. People fall in and out of love between train whistles. The city is like a lover, always leaving you, always coming back. In the evenings, the record spins and the story repeats. Each repetition sounds a little different, like healing does. The couple begins to share quiet mornings again. They talk about gardens, about fruit, about home. Violet remembers the country, fields, rivers, the softness of hay. Joe remembers his mother, Wild, who once vanished into the woods. Her absence shaped him, made him hungry for affection. The memory of that abandonment trembles behind every act of desire. The narrator drifts back through time, to the south, to the trains that carried them north, to the voices of black men and women remaking themselves in the city's song. The past and present blur like two horns playing different notes. Don't ever think I fell for you or fell over you. The women in jazz are not victims, they are storms. Violet's madness turns to power, her sorrow becomes understanding. Felice brings her youth into the house like a fresh wind. Together the three of them, Violet, Joe, Felice, begin to listen. They hear Dorcas differently now, softer, almost forgiving. The city outside continues to throb. Trains, drums, voices, neon signs. You can't beat the city, and you can't leave it. Morrison's prose dances. Each sentence feels like a note struck against memory. The narrator begins to love her own creation. She confesses, I envy them their love. By the end, the voice blurs. Author, city, and witness become one. Joe and Violet hold each other in the dusk. They have lost everything and somehow kept something. The wound between them no longer bleeds. Harlem exhales around them, soft and endless. Music curls through the night, forgiving and fierce. The narrator's voice slows, almost whispering. It's nice when grown people whisper to each other under the covers. The jazz that began in violence now becomes a love song. The story finds rhythm instead of resolution. The dead are still here, in the brass, in the laughter, in the tremor of the train tracks. The living learn to dance with ghosts. Violet hums to herself, a tune without words. Joe listens, then joins in. Harlem becomes their witness again. The narrator sets the horn down, letting the final note linger. I want to be the one who knows what you mean. The city sighs, the story ends, not cleanly, but beautifully. And like all true jazz, it begins again in silence, waiting for the next note.